in.
Email. We had an email come in from another. I don't know how much of a listener he is, but he says he stumbled across our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And so, Dan, thank you for stumbling across and reaching out to us.
Yes, correct.
We have several questions here from Dan, and so we're just going to go through them. These are good questions.
All right, let's go to question number 3.
Okay. Next question. According to the Bible, at the time of Jesus' resurrection, 500 other graves opened up, and the inhabitants walked around Jerusalem. This is a pretty incredible claim. Agreed? Why is it we have no names or interviews or reports documenting those 50 individuals? 500 individuals. And where did they go afterwards? Back to the graves or become part of society as living humans again? Now, we actually did an episode that we answered this question, I believe.
Oh, yeah?
Way back.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe, actually. I forgot about that.
We discussed this at least in part.
But that would have been a long time ago anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I forgot about that. So, but here we go.
And I don't remember
talk
which one it was, but I remember we discussed this on an episode.
Yeah, so we'll handle it here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So there's a couple questions here.
There is. And I like it. Yeah. So, well, let me help the question a little bit. Because the 500 being referred to is actually not connected to the graves being opened up. But I think I know where that comes from, the 500. Okay. I believe it comes from the witnesses of the resurrected Jesus, which was over 500, as it says, as recorded in 1 Corinthians 15, 3-8. So then, verse 6 of that passage, it says, "Then he appeared to more than 500 brothers at one time, most of whom are still alive, though some have fallen asleep." Okay. And so I think that's where the 500 comes from. But yes, this did happen. So Matthew 27 is where this is recorded, verses 50-54. And it says, "And Jesus cried out again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit." So on the cross, he gives up his life. Verse 51, "And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom." Mm-hmm. Pretty significant moment there.
The veil is ripped in two, and now we have access.
That's like a 4-inch thick curtain.
Yeah.
Very tall. I forget the actual dimensions of it. But top to bottom,
thick cloth.
A human being could not just do this. This is not, this is a supernatural thing. And the earth shook. And I can't remember if we actually talked about this or not, but we did personally, where I showed you there's this, they found some seismic activity is at the time of Jesus' crucifixion.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of a cool thing. Maybe that could be another discussion, but there's actually, we can see that today even. And the rocks were split. Okay. So then here we go. This is what we're talking about here, verses 52 and 53. "The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised, and coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many." So I would put a kind of a stop there. So the rocks were split. Boom. That's all that happened. That's all that Matthew's recording about the crucifixion moment. Mm-hmm. And then now think resurrection. So then the tombs were open here. Many bodies of the saints. So that's, it doesn't have the 500 number. I think that he got that mixed up with 1 Corinthians 15 there. So I think it's okay. But then, because that's not really part of the point anyways. So then the bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. Mm-hmm. And coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city, which is Jerusalem, and appeared to many. Okay. And then it kind of cuts back to the crucifixion time, because the Hebrew people, they didn't really need to write in a perfectly linear pattern anyways. It was just kind of like an excited moment, like, and this really cool thing happened too, And then he goes back. The centurion who were with them, keeping watch over Jesus, saw the earthquake and what took place. They were filled with awe and said, "Truly, this was the Son of God." I just love that part. It's not necessarily part of our question here in verse 54, but I just love that verse so much. Yeah. So, but anyways, okay. So
he started to get it there.
Yeah. That's a really neat thing. So then, so let's kind of address one thing at a time here. Now that we have the scripture passage and everything there. Okay. So, let's see the first part of the question. This is a pretty incredible claim. Agreed? Yes, I do. Yeah, that's a really incredible claim. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So then why is it we have no names or interviews or reports documenting these 500 individuals? And so, TMZ missed it. Okay, no.
Yeah.
All right, a little silly there.
They did.
The interviews, what? Okay, that's what I was thinking of. I know it's not what he means. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, I'll handle it this way. First off, do we realize how many historical records are missing? If you look at human history, we have, almost nothing compared to world history. For all of time, there's been so many wars and just natural causes of things being destroyed. I mean, with all the wars, there's like whole libraries are burned and things. You know what I mean? We've lost so much. What does survive today? We can't say that if there is no historical record of something, that it does not exist.
Correct.
So not that alone. It doesn't mean that anything ever happened, but that alone is not enough.
Yeah.
Okay. You call the argument from silence, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is not silent though. So there's that factor. So like maybe there could be more historical records. Okay. Maybe there was, and that did not survive. Okay. So then that's I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I don't think there's actually a problem there. So what is the historical record that we may have here, Nate?
That would be the Bible.
Yeah, that is a historical record.
It is.
Yes.
The most accurate historical record.
Yes. Anybody, historian, archaeologist, things like that, they have to admit.
They affirm the accuracy of the Bible.
All the time.
Historically.
Yes. Like pretty much everything that's ever been dug up has either not spoken to Scripture or has affirmed Scripture.
Yeah.
That's just, there's thousands of finds like this. Okay. There is nothing else even remotely close to the verifiability of Scripture. And I'll even just narrow it down to the New Testament, because I've done more study with textual criticism and things of the New Testament than Old. Okay.
Sure.
I'm more of a Greek guy. Hebrew, I'm just basically illiterate. So so I like it better. But anyways.
That's why we have translators.
There's other good people that are carrying the torch. Okay. So this is we've done some episodes on this kind of thing. So there's a lot to unpack, a lot to show. For right now, I'll say, that the next, let's see if I remember right. Yeah. The next closest ancient document that has as much verified documents is Homer's Odyssey. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Homer's Odyssey. And you're looking at
it's like 7 or something. Isn't
a
it?
couple hundred.
Is that many?
A couple hundred documents.
Oh wow!
And then it goes drastically down from there with other stories and stuff of pieces and stuff of it. And it comes together. Now, the New Testament, though, if you're just looking at Greek manuscripts, you're looking at this point, a little over 6,000 different documents. If you take in all the languages, like Latin, Syriac, you have all these different kind of languages, right? Then it's more like about 25,000 different manuscripts. And you bring them all together, the biggest differences are dotting an I, crossing a T. I mean, it's extremely accurate. And there is some questionable things, but they're very minor. Like if you left it in or took it out, either way, you wouldn't lose anything about the gospel or any doctrine or how you live. Very minor type things. Nothing major is affected at all, which is just absolutely incredible. But we can look at this, is the New Testament reliable? Or what was that series called? Do you remember?
Can I trust the Bible?
Can I trust the Bible? Yeah, okay. So that
I just looked at Homer's Iliad. We have
Iliad.
300 medieval manuscripts.
The idea is it's overwhelmingly more positive. Yeah. If you believe any historical record, you have to believe Scripture. Because why would you believe the other stuff?
Yeah.
This is way more verifiable, way more. So that is like the greatest historical record ever is saying this, And you can say, well, what about that specific verses? Like how many, I don't know how many manuscripts would cover that specific, couple verses there. But it would still be substantial, and the rest of it would agree with each other. So it verifies itself,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. And so I think that it still is substantial enough to be trusted as a real event that happened. And you think about how soon after the events that they did publish these things, and with naming names and places, very specific details.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
one thing with the Bible. I mean, the manuscripts that we have are even older than pretty much most everything else, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of
And more close to the original time of it happening.
I think the oldest one we have, piece of papyrus, and I think it's somewhere around 100 AD, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
It's somewhere around there.
yeah, it's kind of neat. And then it just goes. There's a lot of information there. So,
Yeah.
so
And there's a whole series on that.